Okay, I wanted to go over what's going on in the sky at the moment. This was on the 12th when I started to look at it, and it's just taking me a little while to put together. But what's interesting, what's all going on in the constellation of Taurus right now, and it's really fascinating. We have Mercury really close to the Pleiades. The sun is on the shoulder, but it's moving up towards where Mercury is. And the Pleiades is really important, right? Because it's the seven sisters. Their father is Atlas, and we have the Atlas comet coming through. Also, the Hades, which is in the Y, right by the eye of Taurus, is the cluster, and that's their half sisters. Also, their father is Atlas. Okay, and then of course the Silver Gate is the horns. I've gone over this before if you've watched any of my stuff. Now, Mercury is super important. Okay, Mercury has a lot to do with Venus because they're always like leapfrogging around the sun. They're very fast-moving planets, but there's a relationship between Mercury and Venus. And I kind of see that a little bit like Thoth and Isis. Okay, so Isis is the Silver Gate, which is the horns of Taurus. So we have Mercury, which represents communications, but it's also the mind. Okay, and we can see here on the Freemason board, the Mercury is at the top. That's the symbol, looks like Venus, but it has little horns on it. And why is it at the top? It has a lot to do with your ability to be on the middle path of the Freemason pillars. Okay, you have the one pillar, which is the sun, the other pillar, which is the moon. The middle path, the latter path, is where Mercury, Venus, and Saturn are. Okay, and this is your enlightenment. If you're on that path with your natal chart, you're on the enlightenment path. Your life is going to be working towards spirituality. But some people are on the severity path, some people are on the moon path. Doesn't mean you're not a spiritual person. It just means your path is going to be, either more grace for the moon or more severity. You're going to have a more severe lesson to learn to become enlightened. Okay, so there's all this going on with the Freemason archway. And I can show you more in later in other videos. It's a tracing board and what it all represents, and how Saturn, Venus, and Mercury are all part of your higher consciousness. Okay, so the fact that Mercury is on the Pleiades, which is the crown, okay, in the sky. It's the crown. And I was listening to somebody else talk about, the Atlas comet coming in. They're going, oh, Taurus is the beast, and it's the beast. It's the, it's all the Atlas comets are all the horns. And I was like, yeah, it kind of fits, but it doesn't really, because the 10-headed beast is actually Hydra. Constellation. If you go back in Mythos, you can find it, ancient drawings about it. So that really is the 10-headed beast. It's not the Taurus constellation. But I do agree that Cetus, which is the whale, which originally was the whale, which is right beside Taurus, is the sea monster. Okay, it is the sea monster. But anyhow, I just wanted to kind of go over what's going on in the sky and kind of give you my interpretation of it. This is my truth. This is where I've done my research on mythos. This is what my intuition tells me. It doesn't have to be your truth, but it's my truth, and I just want to share that with you. Okay, so here's the mythos about Hydra being the 9-headed snake. Also in Romania astrology, they had, it's really interesting. You can see here they had Jesus on the Northern Cross. They had Leo as the horse, which is kind of weird because we have the Huffington horse in England. So I'm starting to think maybe, we thought maybe it was the bull, the horse, and they changed the horns, but maybe it's really Leo constellation. So because I found this with ancient Romania, Leo was a horse. So then we also have, the Sphinx is being Leo. So there's lots of, representation of Regulus, which is one of the 4 horsemen stars. It's basically Raphael. Okay, so and then we also have here in the Romanian astrology, it's the sea monster Cetus is the whale, so it's showing the whale as well. This is a perfect example of why you need to go and do your own research, because if somebody's reading the Bible and they're telling you, okay, the bull constellation is evil. And then you come across this, the picture of the bull rushing forward with mighty energy and fierce wrath, his horns set as so to push his enemies and pierce them and to destroy them. It is prophecy of Christ, the coming judge, the ruler, the Lord of all of earth. Okay, so, and it relates back to Apis. Okay, Apis, it's weird because that's actually bees. I did, videos about that, but it's also the bull. Okay, so the bull and the bees, it's all part of the harvest, the milk and the honey, the bees. It's all part of whether you're going to be harvested or not. It's all comes back to that. So we're going back to etymology here. Hebrew was shur. It's also rem, and it goes back to Abraham. Okay, so the high father, high places. This is all the Taurus constellation, and of course it's the Isis silver gate, which represents in St. Louis, and it happens to be with Venus. Right, Venus is love. So. It's an earth sign as well, so basically, I don't see this Taurus as the beast. It's really a gateway, and yes, there is judgment done there. If you do get harvested, in my opinion, that's my truth. It is a judge gate, okay? One of the gates that you do get judged. Okay, so here on the 12th, we have the swan down coming into Aries. We have Atlas, which is up above Perseus, which is holding Medusa's head with the demon eye, up by the shepherd, Rigya, I guess it's pronounced. And then this arrow that I have pointed right beside Mercury, Wayne Herschel did a whole bunch of research all about constellations and, relating it to aliens. This is his research, and he believes that this star was in place in ancient biblical times, and that it's the seed of our existence, comes from this area right beside the Pleiades, which makes sense to me because the Pleiades is a really important cluster of stars. And you can see here, actually, there's Atlas in the Pleiades. So I do believe it's the crown. I do believe, maybe it is a portal, and that's where humanity, we got, our existence came from that area of the sky. I don't know. It's all speculation. But I do know all through cultures, this is extremely important location that all cultures worshipped. Okay, this is one of these moments where something popped out at me. You can see it on the corner, right-hand corner. It says Eunomia. And I was like, Eunomia, why is that popping up on the screen when I'm looking at constellation Taurus? And then I went and did some research on it, and Eunomia is actually Lady Justice. So I wanted to go over that because this is really important that she happens to be in that location when these comets are coming through. And you can see it's really close to the Pleiades, and you can see all the 5 comets splitting of Atlas. It's 5 comets now, and it's right on the Lady Justice, and they're coming to the crown. So this to me is like really important. This is on the 27th of this month. So to me, it's like justice is coming. The power of the Atlantis king, Atlas, or the king that holds, or in Greek mythology, it's the man that holds up the world from the heavens, separates the world from the heavens. But it's like it's all intersecting, and it's all intersecting in the perfect constellation where the Pleiades are, so where the sun happens to be right now. So, and Mercury's there, and oh my God, it's just like it goes on and on and on. So something's got to go down on this this realm. Something big's going to happen, and it's all coming into the end of this month, into June. I just want to show you an up-close shot of the Pleiades. We have Atlas, and then we also have Maya. Okay, and let's go into Maya and see what she represents. This is where things get a little twisted here. Maya, she got pregnant from Zeus, which is Jupiter, right? He's supposed to be our god of this age, but I think he's kind of like an imposter god. She became pregnant with Hermes, and Hermes is the Hermetic form. It's Mercury, okay? After giving birth to the baby, Maya wrapped him in blankets and went to sleep, and the rapidly maturing infant Hermes crawled away. And then he says here, in nightfall on his first day, he stole some of his half-brother Apollo's cattle and invented the lar from a tortoise shell. These are all part of our mythos, okay? Symbolism that you need to awaken your DNA to. You know all this stuff, okay? It's in you. You just have to remember. Maya refused to believe Apollo when he claimed that Hermes was the thief, and Zeus then sided with Apollo. Finally, Apollo exchanged the cattle for the lar, which became one of his identifying attributes. But here she's the midwife, the older woman, meaning midwife in Greek. But the thing is, there's this whole relationship with Jupiter, and Jupiter being Zeus. And like I said, I think he's the false god. The real god of the age that we're coming into is Saturn. It's the golden age, and I know there's tons of people on YouTube saying Saturn is evil and it's satanic and all this. It's not if you understand your history. Saturn is the true god of the golden age. We were hijacked by Jupiter, Zeus, for the last age, and now we're moving into the Saturn age. Okay, so now let's look into Eunomia and the unsullied fountain Dyke, her sister. It's funny, the unsullied. I don't know if you guys watch the Game of Thrones, but it was in there. Sure, support the cities and Erin, which is the fates again, right? I explained the fates. The Erin is one of the fates of the three women that decide your path, who are the stewards of wealth and humanity. Three gorgeous daughters of the wise consoled Themis. Okay, so Eunomia's name, together with her sisters, formed the Hendartress, excuse my pronunciation, good order, justice, and peace. She was frequently depicted as Athena, you know, that big sculpture Athena that's in Texas, you know, 20-foot one. Vase painted among the companions of Aphrodite, which is Venus, and the sense represented the lawful or obedient behavior of women in marriage. Reminds me of the bridegroom. And as such, she was identified with Eunomia, a mother of the charities, the graces, which is basically the fates. Okay, it's all, you know, repetitive symbolism. Okay, so now we have the swan coming down on Medusa's head, and Atlas, they're switching places, okay? Swan is going up and Atlas is coming down. This is on the 19th. The sun is close to the Pleiades. Mercury is now up by Venus, coming into the Silver Gate. I just wanted to show you that. And Uranus is down by Aries, which is the crown, the I know constellation. And here on the 22nd, we have an eclipse. And we also have Enki right beside where the Pisces join together, right on the V of Pisces, with now Mercury in conjunction with Venus, right on the tip of the horn, which is called Nath, which has a huge symbolism as well. We also have the Enki Taurid comet, 2P Enki, right by the Pleiades, very close to Atlas comet. And then the 2P Enki moves up into conjunction with the Nath, okay, and then Venus starts to move down onto the eye of Taurus, but the sun is going to be up close to the Enki comet on the Nath, okay, which is on the 10th of June. And then we have the Swan comet is right in that house of the shepherd. And you can see the symbolism. I don't know, it's weird. It's like the symbolism just disappeared off Stellarium and just gave me the doorway, or the house, if you want to call it the house, the shepherd's house. And there's the Swan's comet is right in there. So there's really huge symbolism, right? Okay, so Nath is related to the Maya, which is in the Pleiades cluster. It's a star that's the properties of Nath is Maya. So it's also Star Trek's main character Spock is pulled from there. And it's all relating to this constellation Auriga, who is the shepherd. It's also the shepherd, but it's also the chariot. It's the golden chariot, okay? He has the reins in his hands. So yeah, I guess it's like, you know, do you get on the chariot or not? Well, it goes back to the mythos of whether you can control the horses of the chariot. Erychthonius was raised by the goddess Athena again, who taught him many skills he wouldn't have ordinarily learned. He was the first man to tame and harness the four horses, which is the four horses is the four stars, right? The fixed stars, Regulus, Entrees, Fomolo, which is Jesus, and Aldebaran. Okay, so anyhow, he was able to control this chariot of the sun god. Zeus was impressed and later placed him among the stars. It is usually credited to the invention of the four-horse chariot, the quadriga. Okay, so that constellation represents Erychthonius, and that his ability was to be able to control those four horses. So if you can control the four horses, you're able to control your toroidal field. That's the way I see it, and you're able to absorb the sun rays that are going to be coming for you to be able to ascend. The whole story in the sky is like many constellations represent the same story. It's all intertwined, so it gets kind of confusing, but eventually the more you learn, oh, it's the same story again, it's the same story again. So this is what I'm trying to put together so you guys can see it as a whole story. Everything that's happening on the planet right now, everything that's happening in the sky is all about you. It's all about how you are handling the awakening process or the non-awakening process, whatever side you're on, kind of. It's all about your ability to control your emotional state, okay? And if you're a very calm person, you're totally disconnected from all the shenanigans that's going on, it doesn't mean you're not going to ascend because you don't believe all this stuff. It just means you're a calm person. You didn't even need to go through it. So everybody's coming at this from different aspects and different, sides of the story. But the main thing is to stay at peace and have love in your heart. If you don't have love in your heart, you can't control the chariot. You can't get into the house. You can't be unburnt, okay? You have to be able to control your own emotional state. This is what this is all about. Find joy. Nath is actually the galactic anti-center. Who would have known? But mine's Nath is, it used to be spelled A-L, but now it's spelled, or E-L, or vice versa. They switch it. But anything with E-L, to me, is the God, okay? It's Elohim, it's 11, it's your two DNA strands, it's the Elven, the elementals, earth, air, fire, and water. It's all about the, what controls this realm, okay? And yeah, the star is named Nath, and it's the anti-center of the galactics. Okay, you can read about it all here, but what's interesting, the moon occults it sometimes, and the next time will be in September in 2023. And here gives you a perspective. It's like this icy blue, but look at the size compared to the sun. It's like crazy. They're saying here it's firepower of 700 suns. Wow. Okay, so you can see Orion's belt there. It's a direct link to the Pleiades, but it goes through the Pleiades cluster, which is right at the Y, the confluence of the Y. So you can see that that's important, right? Because I explained to you that their father is Atlas, the same as the Pleiades. Now, when I started like snooping around in there and checking out the names, I found out that the Mayans were really, worshiping this Shamyuki, and it's actually a small bird. So when does a bird sing? In Chinese, they're saying it's part of the net, which is, I always see the Silver Gate as, once you get to the Golden Gate, if you end up going on the left-hand path of God, you're going to go to the Argos constellation, which is the ship, right? You're going to go through the keyhole. You're going to see the false cross, which is the Southern Cross. I found that on Stellarium. They call it the false cross. So I'm going to go through all that. They have a whole bunch of names on Stellarium, which I find really interesting because it was my intuition that it was the false cross, but they actually name it the false cross. I had no idea. But anyhow, you go through that. And then you come out and, the rabbit hole, but you have to go through the silver gate. You have to go through Taurus. And when you go through Taurus, it's basically you get judged there. You're either going to be sent back, reincarnated, or you're turned to stone. Basically, you get that worm in you, which is all part of the whole symbolism of the tears. I'm going to do a video on the tears. I just did a whole bunch of research on that. I just didn't want to put it in here. I don't want to make the videos too long. So anyhow, that is where you get judged, whether you get to come back or you get the worm, the AI put in you. Okay, so the silver gate is the judgment gate. It really depends on what happens to you after you've been harvested. But personally, you want to try not to go there. You want to try to get through through enlightenment, through gnosis, through being calm, and just being able to ascend before that. Okay, so it doesn't mean like if you don't ascend that you don't still have a good path. You can. Okay, you can become part of going into the shepherds, the Origa house, and then you get reincarnated and you become, you come back again. So anyhow, I just wanted to show you this, how this star, and I know Q had said something about the birds sing. When does the bird sing? And there's a bird, right, in the Y family. So I was like, whoa, I couldn't believe that. So I just wanted to share that all with you guys. This is the stuff that I find really interesting. I hope you guys do too. And, bit by bit, I'm learning more and more about the constellations. And every time I see something that really clicks into my intuition, I just, want to share it with you guys. So I'll keep doing this until we're all kind of in a state of peace, hopefully.